East Texas junior college football, one of the most competitive in the country. 3 of the East Texas schools, TJC, Kilgore, and Trinity Valley, are all ranked in the top 10. 7, 8, and 9 in that order. 8th ranked Kilgore, they won on the road. Meanwhile, at home, TJC taking on Neota. These are inductees into the TJC Hall of Fame honor. Former athletes, including in the class of 23, former NFL kicker Mitch Berger, a 15-year career. Congratulations to all. Now, the Norsemen driving the field first possession, the TJC defense did not make it easy for them. Big stop here, but NEO, Northeastern Oklahoma, they would end that drive on this play here. Defense is sucked in, but the runner bounces outside. Extra point is good, 7-0 NEO. Not much activity offensively for TJC. The last possession, though, of the first half, there is some excitement generated. Former Longview Lobo Gabe Adams fields the punt, finds running room, streaks down the sidelines. You may have seen a flash of yellow on that play. That's because there was a penalty. Illegal block to the back negates the long-distance return. NEO will kill the clock, leading 10-0 at the half. How about this? TJC, they win 16-13 in overtime with the hero kicker, Christian Baxter. He pulls it out.